I'm just starting it old school without an intro song. I just want to see if this takes off or what's going on. I'm very confused. Oh, here it goes. All right, it's starting. Yay!
Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how you guys doing? I'm so thrilled you're here. This is the Paranormal Portal Wednesday episode, and I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Can you see me? Probably not. I got a lot of dark windows going on here. I don't have the mood lighting that I normally do, so I got to pull in a candle here just so you can see me. Ooh, there I am. So, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm not alone in spirit, but I'm alone in the studio because my good friend and co-host was a little under the weather tonight, but I hope you guys are ready because it's time for some Paranormal Mayhem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, but now where was I going with this? I'm alone in the studio, but not truly alone because my good friend and co-host, Mr. Longbeard, is joining us from the Paranormal Portal remote studio. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Doing well otherwise. I had this weird fever like I told you about and this cough, and it's just been a big pain. I'm sorry. I suck when I'm tired and sick.
Well, we're sorry.
Gotta drink this juice.
That looks like moonshine, Don. You sure? Sure, that's not just kerosene.
I said it was juice.
Whiskey in a jarro. Well, welcome to the show, even remotely. And this is a good test, I suppose, because we've never done it this way. So it's good to see that it works.
Yeah, better on a Wednesday than any other day.
Oh?
Yeah, that way we don't have to worry about the TFR feed.
You're not going to floss on camera, are you really?
Sorry. I may have been feeling sick, but I was really feeling like barbecue.
Oh. Yeah, a little basement meat will get you back on your feet in no time, is what I understand.
Kind of hoping so.
Well, welcome to the show, and welcome to all of you guys. I'm here to tell you, I've had a incredibly busy but amazing day. Earlier today, Mr. Wes Germer and I recorded an episode of the Sasquatch Chronicles with me on it. So it was a good time. It was a really cool experience because I went from being, well, I still am, of course, but went from being Sasquatch Chronicles fanboy to being Sasquatch Chronicles guest. And it was really amazing. I thought it was a really cool time. What do you think of that, Don?
No, that's really awesome because, getting somebody like Wes Germer to pay attention to us is kind of a big deal.
It is. It's a whole lot of big deal. And he and Duke, of course, have really done a lot to promote the show, and our hats are off to them. It's a crazy cool thing to do. And I don't know how we earned all that attention, but I'm sure glad we did. It was a really great interview, a full hour and then some change, and just a great dialogue. And Wes makes it so easy, You go in and it doesn't feel, I was really nervous about this before it happened. I was like, oh man, I don't want to do this wrong, but it was really cool. And it was a great conversation. It was like sitting around with a friend and, in front of a campfire, and it was really relaxing like that. And we had some good laughs and great conversation. So that'll be airing sometime in the very, very near future. If you want to know when, either check out SasquatchChronicles.com or check out Paranormal Portal Radio on Facebook, and I will definitely post when it's live as soon as I hear. But there's a picture of you that's going to be on there too, Don.
Picture of me? Why?
There's pictures of you because I did send Wes the pictures of that Sasquatch shelter that we investigated with Cindy.
Uh-huh.
So I included the one with you in it because that's the only representation with scale that I had. So yeah, it was a good time. Great show, and thank you again, Wes. I really appreciate it. Hi, Gemini. I see the waving hand. Good to see you guys, all of you who are here. I don't know, Don. We're going to just do some Paranormal Mayhem tonight. Are you feeling the love?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Well, I am here for it.
A lot of shows really take quite a bit of planning, either on the front end or the right before the show. But I'm really kind of spent tonight. I don't sleep well at all ever anyway, but the last few nights I've been getting up at 3 and 4 a.m. and calling it a day, okay, I'm not going to get back to sleep now. And then I get up and have coffee and stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm always excited to do the show, and I always feel energized when the theme music kicks in. But this is the show we got for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're flying by the seat of our pants, but those are often our best shows anyway.
They are.
Yeah, we don't usually have a real catalog path ahead of us. We just have, just some markers in the dirt, and then we get to them however we get to them. So. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're doing tonight. Poor Mr. Longbeard.
Yeah.
What is it? A cold? Is that what's going on, or what is it?
Well, yeah, it's cold and nasal congestion, and like I said last night, for some reason I had a weird fever, and it was just horrible. It was just horrible.
That is horrible. It is horrible. Okay, so somebody's saying something here. Travis Pritchett is saying, I have a ghost story and some Bigfoot stories I'd love to share with you guys sometime. Let me know if you're up for it at some point. We're always up for it, Travis. The phone lines are always open on the portal now that we have our own dedicated phone line for everyone to call. And the number is on your screen underneath the silver Paranormal Portal logo, but it is 720-923-0500. If you want to call in, I suppose I should position that somewhere I can see it.
See it, yeah.
Yeah. I got it up here now, kind of. Look at that. It looks best. I think it looks best about right here. It hasn't come to it on screen yet.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay.
No, I'm just teasing. I'm just funning you. But no, I'll keep an eye on the phone lines. If you want to call in, Travis, it'd be great to hear from you. If you want to wait for a Friday, Saturday show when we're on the network, that's fine too. But it's all on the board, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got something to share, some kind of paranormal question or issue or concern or curiosity, feel free to call in. It's definitely great to hear from you guys. And when you guys call in, it just makes the show so much better. So
and a little easier.
And a little what? What'd you say?
A little easier.
A little easier. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it helps to have another person to bounce things off of. Yeah, thanks for the mute. That was good. Oh man. So anyway, let's get into this a little bit. So tonight, one of the things I did want to talk about is this phenomenon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't named the phenomenon yet, but I'm getting to it. And what I think is absolutely phenomenally interesting is this idea that our ancient past, not like ancient Egypt past, but our ancient past so far beyond that, it seems there truly was a race or races that were present on this planet that were incredibly advanced and had built some amazing things, and we're still finding little pieces and little hints and clues of this lost history. And what I'm speaking of specifically is a phenomenon known as artifacts out of time. And this is one that I'm absolutely fascinated with, because it would seem to suggest that life on this planet is cyclical as far as intelligent life. It seems to suggest that there every once in a while there are reboots, that things develop and progress up to a point, and then there's some kind of weird reboot where something goes sideways and all of that just disappears overnight. And and I don't know that it actually does. It could have just petered out. They could have become so advanced that they went somewhere else. Hell, I don't know. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of theories and ideas circling this. But when people are finding artifacts embedded in 300 million year old rock, so basically when that rock was soft was 300 million years ago, and something was dropped in it, and it since became a hard, I don't know if they call it, what do they call it, sedimentary rock, where it's like mud and stuff, and it just, it hardens into these, plates of rock or this bedrock or whatever. And as things are happening, like people are drilling for wells, they're finding statues and machined metal parts that would be in the millions of years old, not in the thousands like we're used to dealing with, but millions. And that to me is just profound and incredible. But I have to wonder, what happened? What happened? And so we have stories that survive even today of things like the deluge and of meteors and things hitting the earth. And there's so many different things floating out there that they seem to find scientific evidence for that something happened. But and they're of course mentioned in our religions. There is references to these things, but it's in the wrong time as far as we can tell. I mean, when you're thinking of Noah, you're thinking, I don't know, a few thousand years before Christ or something is what I'm thinking. I don't know. Where do you put that, Don?
It's weird because they found so many things. They've one thing that's been found was supposedly a spark plug in sedimentary rock that had hardened over time. Mm-hmm. And where the heck would they get a spark plug? How would that get anywhere near that kind of an old, that aged?
Right.
So a spark plug. Also the London hammer, which you like to talk about,
which we're going to talk about. So don't give too much away.
Okay, but it's just really weird and out of place. Plus, they've also found footprints of modern shoes in million-year-old sedimentary rock that's hardened over time and such. So it's really, really interesting stuff, and it's really, really disconcerting at times, wondering what the heck's going on. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, for instance, now let's see how I can do this. I suppose there are pictures on some of these things. Let me just read some of them, and I'll try to, maybe I should try to save them and then bring them up as we talk. So keep going, Don.
Okay. But I mean, there's lots of things. As a matter of fact, they found what they thought was a nuclear reactor, a natural nuclear reactor that was supposedly used eons ago in Africa, I believe it was. And they found used spent uranium deposits that were that are hypothesized to possibly, point to aliens in the past having used that to power some of the things that built the megaliths,
Right.
whatever that may be. So yeah, lots of things that have been found and lots of natural seeming things, but that's not really natural to me. I don't see that. Well, but it could be. I mean, it just is what it is. But until it really gets dove into and they figure it out, then, I leave it for as an OPART or something that was used as energy way back when,
Would you say OPART? OPART?
OPARTs. Out of place artifacts.
Oh, out of place artifacts. Okay. I just saw that term. I was like, what's an OPART? And then you said it, and I was like, well, that's serendipity. Okay. What does that mean? Well, I'm glad you know. That's good. Thanks for the learning.
I've looked at these kind of a couple different ways. So
yeah,
I'm trying to find some other associated, things that go along with that.
But doesn't it seem to suggest that there was a lot of advancement made way too long ago, and if that was truly on scale of where we are now, like if they were directly contributing to what we know. Man, we hit a real dry spot there for about a few million years, didn't we?
I would have to agree so.
Yeah, because, I mean, Jesus, we should be doing the Jetsons thing by now at least. If
yeah,
not,
you would.
yeah, you'd think. But I do want to discuss this. Now, this isn't the whole topic for tonight, but it's certainly something worth discussing. I mean, even things like this is like, what? All right, I'm going to bring these up. I'm still going through and saving images. Because it's just, once you guys see this, if you're not familiar with this phenomenon, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to cook your bacon in a hurry because it doesn't make any sense. These things should not exist in our, prehistoric histories as far as we understand. So either we've been fed a line of crap or they just don't know. And they're jumping on their integrity as a scientist. Rather than, being open-minded and adjusting their ideas based on what's been discovered, because these things don't make sense. Man, this is a long article. It's got a ton of pictures. There we go. I hit the bottom. All right. So the first one I want to discuss, and Don, I do apologize, but I am going to have to cover up your face for part of this.
No! Okay, go ahead.
It's true. I am sorry, but I love you. But it's just got to happen. So let me see. Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. It started with an A, so it'd be at the first part. All right, so here's the first one, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm putting it on the screen so you can see. And I don't claim to own these images or anything, but this is in the spirit of learning. I mean, quite honestly. So, what the hell is this? There's many this is coming out of messagetoeagle.com. And I think they did a fantastic job of compiling this list. This first one is, there's many remarkable ancient artifacts that could rewrite history as we know it. These artifacts are highly controversial, and the constantly finding new artifacts that defy our current understanding of history. Among the many jewels, men's wedding bands, pottery, and weapons found, we find items that can confuse even the most experienced archaeologists. According to Orthodox science, such objects should not exist, but they do, and that is a fact that cannot be denied. So we're looking at some of these. Now, this picture that's on the screen is a controversial 300 million year old screw of unknown origin. Who left this?
I was just looking at that.
Oh, were you? Yeah. We may have the exact same thing cooking here, but I know that these stories are repeated over thousands and thousands of websites, so these guys just got the luck of the draw. So, who left this baffling artifact on Earth? Did this alien artifact belong to an unknown ancient civilization far more advanced than us? The screw is clearly visible in the head and nut and has a length of about 1 centimeter and a diameter of about 3 millimeters. And scientists initially thought the screw was in a farm machine, but further examination revealed that the screw was firmly fixed in the rock. X-ray studies also ruled out the possibility that it is a fossil crinoidea trunk because its size is larger than the specimens of marine animals. Geologists estimate that the age of this rock is 300 to 320 million years old. Oh, you think about that. That's a screw in rock. What were they doing with screws back then? Is that what held the dinosaurs together?
That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, it's like it was a rotator cuff injury back in the day. Sorry.
That's good.
That was funny in my head. But so I mean, it's really, really bizarre. What is this doing out there? What does that tell you guys? I mean, this is only one example, but this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I really hate that they watermark this with their own site, because I'm sure they aren't the ones that discovered it. But anyway, they did it on all their images too. That's a jerky thing to do. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get it to go to the next image, but it ain't doing it. Well, that ain't working. Let me close this. So that's one image, and very cool image too, by the way. The next one is, it's a Nampa figurine. Okay. And I'll put this up on the screen so you guys can see it.
Glad I wasn't picking my nose when you switch back to me.
Just assume you're always live when the show is going on. That's what I do. I assume I'm always on camera. All right, so this is a Nampa figurine that strongly challenges the evolutionary scenario. Okay, the tiny artifact depicting a human figure was found in 1889 when workers were drilling water well near Nampa in southwest Idaho. That's near us, Don.
That's
what?
It's south of us, yeah.
Yep. The artifact, skillfully formed in clay, is a true mystery that has baffled scientists for many years. The object is about 1.5 inches long and remarkable for the perfection with which it represents the human form. Professor Putnam of Harvard University found through microscopic analysis that quartz grains under the doll's right arm have been cemented by iron molecules. This too indicates a great age of the artifact and is reason to believe it is not of recent manufacture. It is deeply colored with the iron oxides characteristic of the deposits from the 300-foot level, which is 91 meters. The strata at this depth of the earth is about 2 million years old. Who formed this most unusual figurine if not Homo sapiens? Well, I don't know. What do you think, Don?
Well, part of what's crazy is look how small it is. I mean, compared to a dime, look how tiny that thing is. How did they do that?
So you suppose it could be gnomes? You think those little guys have been around? I mean, seriously, how long have those guys been?
It's probably about that.
Yeah, I mean, but if it's that small, who could play with that? It's around the size of a dime. You know?
Yeah.
They must
really odd.
They must have lost these dolls in the couch all the time. That's how it ended up in the ground. No, I'm just kidding. But it is cool. I mean, that's amazing. All right, the next one. Okay, so this is the antediluvian legacy, a small cube that remains a great challenge to science. And when you first look at it, it doesn't look overly impressive, but let's read about that, shall we? Okay. And this one they didn't watermark, which was nice. I'm glad they didn't. So this very ancient artifact is a great challenge to science as we know it. It appeared unexpectedly with no evidence of a preceding period of development. Its technological sophistication seems far beyond the capabilities of ancient peoples. Who needed this object millions of years ago? In 1885, an iron smelter working in the foundry of the Austrian Isidor Braun of Vöcklabruck, Austria, discovered a small cube-shaped piece of iron embedded in a block of coal dating to the tertiary period lasting from approximately 65.5 million to 2.6 million years ago. What the hell is that?
Wow.
So, see what I'm saying? This is weird stuff. Very powerful, though, Very powerful.
It really makes you wonder what they really knew, I mean, this points to smelting back when they weren't smelting.
Right, but see there again, who's the they? I mean,
yeah, who's the they?
yeah, I mean,
Yep.
is it what we understand to be gray aliens? Is that the they? Were they hanging out here so long before we were even a sparkle in the primordial soup, or what's going on here?
Well, if you go back to listening to, studying the Anunnaki and, having been brought here, developed to, to be able to live on this planet, we were DNA, genetically modified to work here.
Right.
Maybe that's something left over from that time.
It could very well be, but that's yeah, maybe when they were trying to do it themselves without us, because I don't know that, I think, but there again, we see examples of footprints in rock. And so I guess there were some form of us around then, or something that had feet very similar to ours.
Jim says in 1973 in Romania, they found a piece of aluminum that was dated 250,000 years old and thought to be a landing foot of a UFO.
Yep. It was, I think that was the one that was found by a mastodon skeleton embedded in the ground. Is that right, Jim? Let me know what he says.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. So, yeah, but I had heard about that. It's a machine piece of aluminum that shouldn't have been there. Okay, so the next one, the plot thickens. Oh, here we go. This one, I can right-click. Let me pull this up. Oh, now the mouse is working. There you go. All right, let me blow this up a little bit. See there again. Look at that. Good God. All right, so this one's called The Baffling Ancient Man-Made Object Hidden Inside Stone. Boy, that was a creative title. Like most of these are baffling man-made objects. Or apparently man-made. So this is yet another mysterious prehistoric high-tech artifact from the distant past. Inside this stone, there's a man-made baffling object. And they used it again. There's very little is known about this curious artifact. The object was brought to light in 2009, and it was found in the village of Saraksevo in Moscow region, Russia. At first, it was believed to be just a stone, and there were attempts to use it as part of building material. However, soon it became clear that this was not an ordinary stone. Well, it's not, because it's got a screw in it. But even this part here, look at this. This seems to be some kind of socket. I don't know how long it'll take you to see it, but do you see what I'm pointing at? There's a protruding piece next to his thumb, and then there's a channel around it. Like it was definitely made for a purpose. That to me is just so bizarre. But very cool. Again, artifacts out of time, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not familiar with this phenomena, there it is. More of them coming up. What's with the bell? This is a mysterious ancient bell-shaped metal vase embedded within 15 feet of solid sedimentary rock. Again, what in the hell? Okay, so what's going on here? Is it possible that modern ways of thinking developed far earlier than we think? On June 7th, 1851, a very interesting appeared. I'm just going to say a very interesting object. I'm going to ad-lib that. Appeared in the Scientific American, which is a published publication back in the day. The article described the discovery of an object that resembled a silver zinc vase inlaid with fine silver in the form of the vine. It was embedded within 15 feet of solid sedimentary rock. The age of this vase, according to the rock in which it was found, is supposedly millions of years old. So there were craftsmanship, there were, manufacturing, there was tools being used. I mean, give me a break. This is in rock. I can't even get my head around that.
The only thing I could think of possibly is like there's a theory that says we had a deluge, a mini ice age deluge around 12 to 15,000 years ago that covered the Sphinx and covered it just covered everything. And part of the thinking here is that's why okay, I forgot where I was going with that, but However, I wonder if this is, even if you call it the mud flood, because that's what a lot of people are talking about lately, is the mud flood. Um, Even if that happened, that wouldn't have buried things like this, and it wouldn't show up. It wouldn't date back. You know, it just doesn't seem that it would date back that far. It would only date back 12,000 years or 15,000 years because of the flood. So if this was on top when that happened, then I could see it getting ground around and down into a cavern or something like that, or a crevice. But for it being dated that far back, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, this is millions of year old rock. So,
right.
I mean, they're not real specific about that. I guess I could pull it up and see if we can find more information, because there are links to more stuff. Okay, there's an excerpt from the Scientific American, volume 7, number 38, page 298, volume June 7th of 1851. And I'll try to read it. A few days ago, a powerful blast was made in the rock at Meeting House Hill in Dorchester, a few rods south of Reverend Mr. Hall. It says R.E.V. Mr. Hall's meeting house. The blast threw out an immense mass of rock, some of the pieces weighing several tons, and scattered small fragments in all directions. Among them was picked up a metallic vessel in 2 parts. What? It was in 2 parts, rent asunder by the explosion. On putting the 2 parts together, it formed a bell-shaped vessel, 4.5 inches high, 6.5 inches at the base, and 2.5 inches at the top. It was about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. The body of this vessel resembles zinc in color, or a composition metal, in which there was a considerable portion of silver. On the sides there are 6 figures of a flower, or bouquet, beautifully inlaid with pure silver, and around the lower part of the vessel a vine or wreath inlaid also with silver. The casing or chasing, carving, and inlaying are exquisitely done by the art of some cunning workman. This curious and unknown vessel was blown out of solid, it says pudding stone, 15 feet below the surface. It is now in the possession of Mr. John Kettel, Kettel, Dr. J.V.C. Smith, who has recently traveled in the East and examined hundreds of curious domestic utensils and has drawings of them. It's hard to read. It's really, really small, photocopied. He has taken a drawing and accurate dimensions of it and to be submitted to the scientific. There is no doubt, but this curiosity was blown out of the rock as above stated. But will Professor Agassiz or some other scientific man please tell us how it came to be there? The matter is worthy of investigation, as there is no deception in the case. Okay, so that was an excerpt from the Scientific American. So, I don't know. Very crazy, weird stuff.
That is really weird. I just keep going on about how unbelievable it is that, they're so far in the ancient past. It's just incredible stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It's exciting. Let me check the call board here and see if I'm getting everything I'm supposed to get. Let's see. No calls. Okay, we're doing good. I'm trying to be diligent. Go ahead.
I found out about the spark plug.
Okay, wait though. Let me go through what I got, and then you can do the spark plug.
Fine.
well, I mean, this is all a long list, and then I can clear the screen so we can see you. I'd rather you were showcased in your presentations. So
you're so sweet.
I am. Just remember that. All right. So this one is extremely complex object of unknown origin. So it's a circular depression in. This looks like metal, yeah. So in the beginning of 1974, a strange object was brought to light by a group of construction workers digging in the area of central Romania. The discovery was made at the depth of approximately 10 meters in the sediments of the river Mureş, 2 kilometers east of Aiud and about 50 kilometers south of Cluj. Oh man, I love these names. Cluj-Napoca. I don't know. I'm gonna just abuse the hell out of it. Former capital of Transylvania. Transylvania. The artifact was discovered together with very ancient bones, including the jaw of a mastodon. So this is the one I'm talking about. In a sand pit under 35-foot thick layer of sand. Such an extraordinary finding raises interesting questions which can't be answered easily. At first, the finding appeared to be a dark stone, but after removing the thick crust of sand on its surface, it was revealed a metal object of unknown origin. So there it is. And what the hell is that? I'm saying that a lot tonight, but this is how excited I am about this idea, because, ladies and gentlemen, it just goes to show you the amount of discovery and the amount of curiosity that goes on in our world. I mean, the reason that I love this subject, I think one of the biggest reasons, is because the hubris of the educated. You know, we know. You know, I just can't tell you how much that drives me crazy when some really allegedly intelligent person preaches to you about what has and what has not happened and what can and what cannot happen. And it's things like this that go, aha, you know, and I don't know. I mean, they're not probably found in the most scientific of means, so I'm sure those very same people would scoff at this stuff and say it's pseudoscience and a bunch of wishful thinking. But, you know, again, we get into the point that if even one of these is accurate, that still rewrites history as we know it, and that's no small thing. So that's this one, and it doesn't have a whole lot to say about it other than that. But it was found next to a mastodon skull, which, you know, when the hell were mastodons around, Don?
Quite a while ago. However, they are said to have been around during caveman times,
during
obviously.
The Stone Age, yeah.
But modern human as well, because they found modern human bones near mastodons and such like that too.
Well, by what age are you talking? By modern humans, you're talking 15,000 or more, or what? What do you think?
Yeah, definitally that. Okay. Definitely that. I mean, the caveman, Neanderthals, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm not PC enough for that. But yeah, after that evolution of man, and then what's known as modern man, the Homo sapien, yeah, they found mastodon bones right next to us, modern man.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, let's get back to this. How's the moonshine? Good?
It's okay. It's not, you know,
or is it
it's
cough
juice.
Syrup?
Very, very watered down cough syrup.
Don's hitting the cough syrup hard tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But he's here to entertain. That's all I'm saying. By the time he's done with that jug, we should be laughing. Oh, anyway, let's get to the next one here. Find out just what's going on now. Here's my hammer. Here's the one that started my whole curiosity with this, as I stumbled across an article about this very hammer. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, as Don referred to, was known as the London hammer. All right, here says, a very modern hammer made from alloy of iron was found inside a 100-million-year-old rock, according to geologists. Now, see, I've seen that number conflated all the way up to 300 million or more. So, I don't know. It depends on the source that you're getting the information from. But, which has formed around it. Who manufactured this hammer and when? Based on the standpoint of accepted research and science, it is impossible for this hammer to exist, much less to ever been manufactured, but it does exist. And this is extraordinary evidence of a very different history of Earth and humankind. If our school teachings are correct, there is no other conclusion than that an alien visiting Earth must have lost the hammer. Now, here's the thing that I think. Okay, so if it was really dropped by an alien, I would imagine that hammer to be a lot more impressive than this. This looks like something out of like the an old blacksmith shop, maybe from Renaissance period forward or something, you know. To me, it's not really clean. It's not really, it looks like it was smithed, like in a hammer forge or something, Does that make sense?
You know, well, yeah, it does. I mean, it does look like it was, on a, with a forge and a hammer.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right.
But also, I don't know if I missed it, but does it talk about how that handle is calcifying and turning into coal?
No, I did read that as well, and I was going to get to that. It's that the handle is both petrified and turning to coal, which also authenticates its age because for wood to do that, it takes a hell of a long time. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I got a couple more here, so don't go away. There's more. But wait, there's more. So this is the London Hammer. So the story goes that an older couple or a couple were walking in London, Texas area, and they found a weird rock that had this shaft coming out of it, this shaft of wood. And they're like, "What is that?" So they picked it up and brought it home, and they couldn't really tell, but then they broke it open, and this is what they found inside after he split the stone, and that has no business being there. It don't fit. That does not fit. So that is the London Hammer, and at least 100 million years old, but I've heard 300 or 400 million years as well. So the next one is this one, and I think this one's weird. 100,000-year-old stone embedded with a 3-pronged plug. So the mysterious archaeological finding was discovered accidentally by an electrical engineer. Well, that's kind of convenient. John J. Williams in 1998. Like many other precious though undervalued artifacts, it may constitute a proof that an unknown advanced civilization mastered sophisticated technology long before familiar ancient cultures came into existence. The 3-pronged plug is held by a matrix of thus far indeterminate origin. The 0.03-inch diameter piece does not appear to be manufactured out of wood, plastic, rubber, or metal, or some other recognizable material. So this may be the alien piece there. This might actually qualify as alien, because they don't even know what it's made out of.
They don't have any idea what it was made out of.
Right.
That kind of sparks an interest in exactly what the hell it is. Obviously.
It's embedded in granite, for God's sakes. Does that I mean, my God.
I have read lately that there are some ideas that that looks like a European plug. So yeah, it can't do anything here. But they've been talking lately about. There's been a lot about rock melting techniques used by ancients to form the megalith blocks and things like that. So I wonder if this had anything to do with something like that.
I don't know. I remember I heard Phil Schneider referencing that when he in one of his YouTube talks. He was talking about technology that they used to make the deep underground bases. So,
right.
And he said they didn't drill it. They just used this technology that would just, disintegrate the rock before them or melt it. It was, so maybe there is something like that. I don't know. That gets into really deep water that I'm not qualified to swim in, but it is crazy. I mean, that's really curious stuff. So if let's say for instance, there was such a technology, could these be hoaxed by just using that technology? And what would be the end game for that? Most of the time, these things are found in just the most obscure, uninteresting places,
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to make much sense why, and they were just found by happenstance. I'm sure there's not many construction crews that have melting rock melting rays or anything. I'm sure they'd love them. I think anybody would probably have a lot of fun with a ray like that, but very interesting nonetheless. So that's a real curious one as well. Now let's see what else we got. I got to zoom all the way out first. Sorry. Now this one's interesting, and I don't know if I'm familiar with this one. It says mysterious blue stone produced by an unknown, highly advanced civilization lost in time. So this says in 1990, an odd type of blue stone was discovered by geologists and archaeologists. Angelo Pittoni, during one of his archaeological excavations in Sierra Leone, West Africa. He sent the mysterious stone to be investigated at several laboratories around the world, and the tests were carried out at laboratories at the University of Geneva, the University of Rome, Utrecht, I don't know what the hell that is, but Tokyo and Freiburg, Germany, and all experts say the same thing, namely that the blue stone does not exist because it is not even similar to any type of rock known in nature of this planet. That is strange. It's beautiful, though. It's a beautiful rock, right?
It is. It is. As a matter of fact, Duke says something about it's supposed to be a part of the dome. I've heard of other pieces that have been found since.
Oh, really? What dome? Whose dome? The sky?
Yeah. Whose dome?
Oh, flat Earth stuff. Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm not.
Okay.
I have to admit, I'm not really big on the whole flat Earth stuff, but I mean, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's curious. Very curious. It does look like a blue sky. I got to say that. Then there's one more. Is there just one more? No, there's a couple more. Couple more, and then I'll be done, Don. Then you can do your thing with the spark plug. Because I can clear the path for you. Oh, this one's kind of cool. All right, let me back out of this and go to the next one. So, this, ladies and gentlemen, is apparently referred to as the Lady of Atlantis.
Oh, yeah.
According to some records, this puzzling limestone bust, 21 inches high, was accidentally discovered near Alicante, Spain. I'm going to try to pronounce that. In 1897. The artifact has long been the object of archaeological studies and debate. It is dated to the Roman or Hellenistic period. Some others believe it was created in the 4th century BC. Not long ago, some investigators claimed that the artifact could be a 19th century falsification. However, these claims have been immediately dismissed by others. Some very open-minded scientists admit that the statue, which depicts a priestess, a noblewoman, or perhaps an unknown queen, is a mysterious creation. No one knows for sure how old it is. It may represent a very important person of which origin or connections can be traced to Atlantis. And I don't know how they can be traced to Atlantis because I don't know that anybody's found a pathway to trace. We just know that Atlantis exists in Plato's books. I thought that was about it, isn't it? Do you know of any other references to Atlantis?
Well, yeah, there have been a few that I can't exactly quote off the top of my head because that's not something. It's not that I'm not interested in it. I definitely am. Mm-hmm. However, it's not one of those things I've delved into. But I mean,
now this is curious though. If you look at her eyes, yeah. They're very Asian, aren't they?
They actually are, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very Asian look. Huh. So, I don't know, maybe Atlanteans were Asian looking. I don't know. If this is indeed from the Atlantean period, which I guess anything's possible. If I've learned anything doing this show, it is that everything is possible. But it is so curious.
So I'm reading here another something else about that same thing. It says the unusual features of the sculpture, such as the apparent elongated head and the spools on the side of the head, have also prompted numerous alternative theories to be proposed. So yeah, I mean, look at that. Look, I don't know which one you're looking at. Yeah, okay, but if you look at a different view of it, which I just happen to have,
I only have
here, let me copy that and send you that link real quick through Facebook.
Sure.
But it's got a great side view. All right. Yes. Paste. There we go. All right. So I just sent you that. Okay. And there's more pictures there of her, and it's just incredible, and the detail in it too. I mean, it doesn't even look like it's been buried or anything. It's like it's been sitting on top of the world forever.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't really show a lot of wear and tear, does it? Hey, thanks for the link, Don. Where the hell is that coming from?
Uh-oh. What's going on? Hold on.
I launched something. Is that you or me? Hold on. I'm going to mute this. I have no idea where the hell that came from.
Oh, it's probably on that web page that I sent you and you opened it up.
Yeah, I closed it, but it played all the way through even though I closed it. That there's a stubborn page.
Yeah, that's too bad too, because there's some great pictures of this on there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but I can't broadcast someone else's music. We're going to get spanked by the tubes. But it's a very cool and unique thing. No, I do got to check and see if that was... What the hell is going on? Where's that coming from? I don't know where the hell that's coming from. That's really weird. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea what the hell's making that noise now. Don, did you give me a virus?
Don't look at me. I've been away from you to not give you viruses.
That's true. I appreciate that. I really do. But I don't know where that sound is coming from. This is really bizarre. Oh, what in the hell? Oh, I guess it... No, thank you. So, where the hell is that? Hold on. Yeah, it was from that page. It opened two of them, one on the browser and one on a hidden window. So,
oh,
yeah,
pop up.
Yeah, it popped up another version of itself underneath the browser. So that's where it was coming from.
Gosh.
All right. So anyway, that's that lady, and then I got one more. One more, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. All right, this one. Now this one is okay. It says ancient alien high-tech genetic disk could rewrite ancient history and our origins. The genetic disk is a remarkable object that could rewrite ancient history and our origins. The disk, carved in lydite, Lydite, is only about 27 centimeters and weighs about 2 kilograms. It contains incredible information that can only be seen with the help of a microscope. The genetic disk was originally discovered in Colombia by Professor Jaime Gutierrez, and since it does not fit any existing pre-Columbian culture, it is assumed to be more than 6,000 years old and was created by an unknown ancient civilization that used ancient technology. Well, that's crazy, huh?
It is, and look at, can you zoom in on that? Because got some really, it's got some great carvings on it, whatever that may be. Carving, or maybe it was poured and formed, who knows.
Look at the eyes on that baby. It's like an alien baby head. If that's a baby, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at.
And on the other side of it, on the left side of it, that looks like it could be Nessie or a Plesiosaurus, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's interesting things on there.
Yeah, that right on the bottom looks like a squirrel. I don't know what all this means, and I don't know how did they look at something and say, well, it's about genetic information. It's like, really? Where'd you get that? Because I'm just seeing some, I mean, they're cool carvings and it looks fantastic, but how do they interpret it as genetic information?
Well, if it was an ark from, say, like a destroyed civilization that got sent here, from like Mars, I don't know. But maybe it's something like that. You pop it into a machine and it pops out DNA that you can clone. Who knows?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm getting out there.
Well, it's where we are, Don. That's our turf is out there. But wow, look at that. That is like one bug eye and one smaller bug eye on this deal. That little looks like a seeded baby, doesn't it? I don't know. Yeah. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I don't know. I don't know how they could interpret this to mean genetic. That to me it seems like a pretty big stretch. But then again, I just don't know.
Well, but then again, we sent out all that information on Voyager, like, back in the 70s, and it had all kinds of, coded information on it. Specifically, it had our DNA structure on it. So, maybe this is another little hint to DNA structure. Who knows?
That's right. So you think that Voyager was kind of like putting the keys on the counter at a juvenile home or something?
That's good. Yeah, no doubt.
Like, hey, we'll just lay these here. Just don't mind them. It's like, not only are we going to tell you who we are, here's how we're built. I don't know. So go ahead and read about that spark plug.
Sure, yeah. Let me pull that back up. Nope, that's the pipes.
Darn, hitting the pipes.
In the pipes. I lost the spark plug. Oh, here it is. In 1961, 3 people went out searching for geodes for their gem and gift shop in
Chris or Cherie. Sorry. You said geodes. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm here all night.
I'll start coughing.
Here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Goodness. One of them picked up a geode common to the area, but it somehow seemed different, explained Leonard Nimoy in an episode of his TV show In Search Of. One of the 3 broke out a diamond saw blade cutting through it at the shop and made a shocking discovery. Within the geode, he found what appeared to be a device later compared to a spark plug but how old must it be to be encased in a geode? It could be as ancient as 500,000 years old, hundreds of thousands of years before advanced civilizations are thought to have inhabited the Earth. Another of the 3 discoverers said that it was that the time that the geologists examined the fossils around the device and dated the device to 500,000 years old. So yeah, they're just solidifying that claim.
Your camera got all fuzzy, by the way.
Oh,
there it goes. Now that you're looking at it, it helps. Okay.
Well, it probably just went out of focus.
It did.
The only people who have physically examined the artifact are the 3 people who found it, and what's this guy? And another guy who believes the conventional understanding of human history is incorrect. For years, it was on display at the home of Wallace Lane, another of the original 3 discoverers, though he would not let others examine it. The current whereabouts of the artifact is unknown. The geologist who stated that it was 500,000 years old was never named, causing others to question the study. There is little hard evidence that the original discoverers intended to, there is little hard evidence to suggest the original discoverers deceived anyone. So there you go.
That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the ones for the books. Let's see here. There were some sketches made of it. The sketches included clearly show one rib of the upper end of the porcelain, although Champion used 2 ribs in this era, probably just an artist's error. So on the ceramic portion of the, they're saying that at the time in 1961, Champion only used 2 ribs, but this one had 3 ribs on it. So it had anyhow.
Okay.
But that's really, really weird.
It is really weird.
500,000 years old. Crazy.
So don't you ever wonder, though, what did the world look like then? I mean, what did civilizations look like? And, it doesn't seem like most of this stuff is really like way out of the park advanced, not like somebody's digging up a UFO embedded in rock. It's just like screws and stuff like that. But it makes you wonder, what did it all look like? What was everything? What you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, what would be the need for a spark plug that old? What were they driving around, or what were they? Did we in fact actually live in the Jetson age? We just, like the Tower of Babel, God came down and slapped everybody on the head and said, now you're all going to speak a different language. Is that kind of what happened here? Is we were already technologically advanced and somebody came down and slapped us upside the head and said, well, now you're a bunch of dummies again.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there is that, if there's no sharing of knowledge. And I think that's the key. And that's why I think that we're making technological advances at like unprecedented rate, is because we have the ability to communicate in real time across the globe. So knowledge can be shared in an instant rather than throwing it in an envelope and waiting for somebody to carry it over to wherever it's going. So, and by that speed, ideas can change and be modified on the fly instantly rather than, through a chain of correspondence that may take years, So I just think that, and that's interesting that you brought up the Tower of Babel, because that was kind of what happened, right? Everybody just got slapped with a language stick, and yeah, and everybody got stupid because they couldn't share those ideas anymore. They had no common language. And so I think that that's probably the big takeaway of that, is that, communication is the key for our advancement.
Right. Well, also though, think about this though, because you talk about this often, and you say time is concurrent. It doesn't matter what timeline we're on, past, present, or future. Mm-hmm. It's all happening right now. Right. So what if that? I don't know why I have a wrench in my hand. This is what I get for sitting in my studio. So, maybe it could have been something that shifted through that time and wasn't supposed to be here. It was supposed to be in a future point. You know what I mean?
Well, so here's the thing, and that idea has crossed my mind, and I think we might even have discussed that on one of the other shows where we talked about artifacts out of time, is that, so if there are these natural portals that seem to open and close, and like it's almost like the respiration of our universe, what if it was just a fact of somebody fell through that was holding a hammer and fell into the wrong place and ended up with, dropping that hammer because he realized he was in all the wrong place. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, is that possible? Are these things demonstrations of time travel, of people really screwing with, the train of time and how it's being manipulated? Is that what this is? Is it just a hiccup where, you put the hammer down on the bench and it's no longer there and it's deported? Maybe it gets deported all kinds of different ways, I can't tell you how many things I've lost that I never could find. And you got to wonder, did they get sucked into a different time continuum or what,
Right. Yeah. Like if you set it down and it's just like a little portal opens up and just sucks it right in.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I've always been fond of, like somebody one time took my keys, right? Mm-hmm. My car keys, and just chucked them way out there. But I know I saw them land, but and it was a mode field, it wasn't like really thick. I went out there looking. I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked for hours, and I could not find my keys.
Wow.
But it was like they should have just been laying right on top of the ground. They weren't there. Could not find them. Wow. Never found them.
That's crazy. So what did you do?
I eventually ended up walking back to my place to get my spare keys.
Oh. But they were just deported. They were just gone.
Gone. They just it's like something opened up and swallowed my damn keys.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, things like that. You just 1 minute it's there and the next minute it's just totally gone.
Right.
What goes on there? So
sure. And so it goes back. Let's say your keys went back, 300 million years old. Well, they probably fall about 30 feet down to the ground where it is at 300 million years ago. And, it might even be in an ocean at that time. Who knows? Because all of this has changed so much. But I don't know. It's just as plausible to think that as anything. There's just either there were advanced races that existed and somehow got wiped out, or they just decided to, take their action elsewhere because they could, like little, Star Trek kind of things. We're going to go check out the whole universe because we can.
Right.
Or maybe it's just little portals that are, sucking things back, to different time periods. I don't know. It's all on the table.
Yeah. Randall in the chat, he says many black holes on land on Earth is a real feasible scientific theory. He said he was just reading about that.
So yeah, but if it's a black hole per se, would it not crush the matter as it went through because of that gravitational field? If they are really singularities. What's that?
Naked singularity?
Yeah, exactly. Would it come through intact? Or would it, like things like a hammer, for instance, with a wood handle, could that handle a singularity? Or is the gravitational constant in a micro singularity that much different that it would just pass through? I don't know. Or would it just warp the field of its, of its energy matrix? Would it just warp it down and then spit it out intact on the other side? I don't know. It's, black holes are such a conundrum, even to scientists that claim to be, astrophysicists and stuff. They don't know for sure. There's theories, but until somebody goes out there and starts, really investigating a black hole, I don't think we ever will know. Maybe we will. I don't know. But it seems to me that hands-on is the only way to learn.
Yeah, definitely. Or falling through a time portal and, coming back and going, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah. Well, there's a new movie coming out now, and I forget what it's called, but it's based on this musician. He has some kind of accident that takes a head injury or whatever. Well, he makes a recovery, but he recovers in a world that's never heard of the Beatles, and he's a musician. And so he starts playing these songs, and people are like, wow, when did you write that? And he goes, I didn't write that. Paul McCartney wrote that. They're like, who? And he becomes like the biggest musician in that reality because there never were any Beatles, So
well, can I go back to that time and not hear the Beatles? I'll be okay with that.
You don't like the Beatles? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we probably don't have enough time to go into that.
There's a whole lot wrong with me, yeah.
With all of us.
Drill bit found in coal suggests advanced civilization long before humans thought to walk the earth. According to the conventional view of history, humans have only walked the earth in our present form for some 200,000 years. So there you go.
Oh.
Modern man, 200,000 years.
Okay.
With our ancestors' histories extending back perhaps 6 million years. The Earth's coal is said to have formed hundreds of millions of years ago. That's why the appearance of a man-made iron instrument resembling a drill bit in the heart of a large chunk of coal puzzled historians who found it in the 19th century.
Wow.
It appeared that a man-made tool as advanced as the tools used in the 19th century was deposited in the organic matter that formed the coal before it was coal. Was a civilization advanced enough to use drill bits present hundreds of millions of years ago when coal was forming? John Buchanan Esquire presented the mysterious object to a meeting of the Society of Antiquities in Scotland in 1852. His accompanied statements were recorded by the Society's proceedings, which were quoted in full. It's actually in this article. But I'm not going to read all that. In summary, he said that the iron instrument was found within a seam of coal about 22 inches thick, which was in turn buried in a bed of diluvian or mixed clay with boulders some 7 feet thick. He said, I quite agree in the generally received geologic view that the coal was formed long before man was introduced upon the planet. But the puzzle is how this implement confessedly of human hand should have found its way into the coal seam, overlaid as the latter was by the heavy mass of the diluvium and the boulders. So there you go. Now that's kind of what I was talking about the diluvian flood and possibly the many mud floods, whatever we've had in the past. And that's kind of my point right there is, but what is something like that be doing back in that kind of time?
I don't know.
That's the question.
Now, what else is really curious about this, though, is that what I find really interesting as well. So say it is another branch of life that was on this planet. What I find really interesting is that maybe we're kind of on the right path because the tools that they used are recognizable to us. It's not like it's these weird contraptions. Nobody seems to understand what they're for. I mean, a spark plug, which means it would be a combustion engine. So is that just a staple kind of development for an emerging civilization that they would go into a combustion type of energy platform and then from there move on to, whatever's left or whatever's else. But, things like hammers, they didn't think of a different way to do it. They made hammers and they wanted to join things together. So they made screws. It's all stuff that we recognize as being used in our development and in our world. So that to me is very interesting. Like, and it almost seems to imply a lack of original thinking. You know, like, well, they're just doing they did the same stuff that we're doing. You know, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and someone in the chat said I don't believe it was from our hands. Now, if that implies that there were alien hands, you know, in the pot back then great, yeah, but they're still using recognizable forms, like you said, screws, hammers, you know, drill bits. They're all recognizable to us now, and maybe it's because of this common memory that we have from, like, say, my Tower of Babel kind of reference. You know, maybe we're just catching up with these memories of these things that we used in the past, and you know, before the deluge or before the antediluvian floods or whatever, that we were able to escape underground, possibly Hollow Earth, who knows, and then come back up later and then start regaining these memories.
Now that's an interesting reference, and wasn't it the Hopi that said that there was some creatures from the ground that took them underground to survive some kind of cataclysm?
Yeah, I believe it was the what they refer to as the ant people. I may have that wrong though. So,
well, no. What was interesting about that is that their word for ant people was Anunnaki.
I actually didn't know that.
Anunnaki was the name that they had for these people that came and saved them by bringing them underground and teaching them how to survive.
See? Yeah, see?
So does that cook your bacon just a little bit? It should.
Well, it certainly doesn't help.
Well, hit the jar again. That'll help.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me get right to that, actually.
It's not quite the jug, but it's good. It's a good second.
Well, you know, I figured a mason jar is, you know.
That's about as long beard as you can get, a jug or a mason jar. But that, I just wanted to cover that for a while, and we took up quite a lot of time doing that, but I still think it's just amazing. Now, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this or anything else. If somebody would like to call in, please feel free to. The number is 720-923-0500, or also known as 0500. So again, 720-923-0500. Now oh my God.
What?
I blew that screen way up. I just meant to look at our participants here and see who are chatting. We got Julia. We got Diane Swiger. We got Deb Varner. Digger Dog. That's cool. I don't think I met you, Digger Dog. If I have, I'm sorry, I forgot. Gemini is here. Gentry Coda. Hell's House Paranormal. Good to see you guys. Or guy, girl, whatever you are, but it's great you're here. Jim is here. Jim Mounts. Lady Death. Randall Electric. Or Randall Electric? Randall Electric. Okay. I did say it right.
Randall.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know that name, but for some reason it's just stuck in my mouth. Renee is here. Ken is here from Down Under. And Tori is here, and Travis Pritchett is here. So great to see you guys. Now we do have a caller, and it's our good and wonderful friend, Diane. Welcome to the show, Diane.
Hi, great intro. I have been trying to get a Mercury retrograde video done, and don't you know, Mercury retrograde has been keeping me from finishing it. I must have had like hundreds of takes.
Uh-oh.
And 3 different apps. I had to go back to the original app anyway, and on and on and on. And was editing it just before the show, and I'll have it done just in time for Mercury to go direct tomorrow.
What does that mean, though? I don't understand much about this retrograde stuff, so please spell it out a little bit if you don't mind.
Well, okay, I'll go through the very, very short form, and then you'll have to see my video when it comes out.
Of course.
I'm doing a video about it.
Okay.
Because everybody's been asking me, what the heck is it about? What? Please explain this.
Good.
But basically, it's the point. It's our little planet Mercury, you know, the trickster god, the messenger of the gods.
Uh-huh.
That planet has to do with communication, travel, and by default, then it also communication with loved ones and communication, relationships, business, finance, the mail, etc., the internet. So usually during a Mercury retrograde, all of that stuff kind of goes south for a while. And you have all kinds of misunderstandings. You have stuff breaking. You have stuff getting lost. You have stuff... you have all kinds of communication problems, travel adjustments that you have to make.
Okay.
It's almost like its own little reality bubble.
Okay.
And okay, so basically, it's a time when Mercury appears to be going backwards in the sky. It's not, but it's just the way it looks. So that's basically it. But there's a good side to it too, is you can use it to redo. It's a do-over time.
Oh.
But as far as the right brain stuff to do with Mercury, it's horrible. All kinds of stuff will happen to keep you from accomplishing whatever it is you're trying to do in a very right brain sort of way. But I mean in a left brain sort of way, but in a right brain sort of way, you can actually be very creative and do things you wouldn't normally do, and maybe meet people you wouldn't normally meet. However, if you meet somebody new during this time, there's a very good chance you won't see much of them again until the next Mercury retrograde.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And they say don't order things because you'll probably want to take them back. Don't, no matter how much you research it, don't purchase it because you probably want to take it back. And you will want to redo anything you are doing at this time. It'll kind of force you to redo it, which is what I've been doing with my video. I've been redoing my video. I've had hundreds of takes trying to make it's so ironic.
Aw. Do you make your videos? Do you make your videos from start to finish? Yeah, you're getting retrograded yourself. So do you make your videos from start to finish, or do you do it? You should probably try doing it in segments and editing it together.
Yes, I'm trying to edit it, and it's so funny because I don't know how to live stream yet. Hey, you know what, brother?
What?
You're going to have to help me out. I want to live stream it sometime.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we can talk a little bit. I'll tell you what I know. Most of my setup came from the mind of Mr. Chris Geo. So I can't take any credit from it. He's kind of the brains behind my operation as well.
Okay, well, I'll have to ask Chris, too, because he has said he would help.
Oh, good.
Help me figure it out. But I wanted to say, I really study this stuff that you're talking about tonight.
Oh, good.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
My very favorite. I mean, and also I love they're called out-of-place artifacts, UPAs.
Yep.
And there is also monolithic buildings.
Okay.
They're out of place too.
Oh, where? Give me an example.
Supposedly.
Give me an example of those.
Well, there is a channel called New Earth I could recommend, and she shows you all of these buildings. It's not just the pyramid that we don't know how it was built.
Okay.
There's all kinds of things that we don't know how they happened, and we couldn't do them today.
Okay.
So, it's, you look at some of these things and we couldn't reproduce them. There is no way they could make them with copper chisels and hammers. It just couldn't happen. And it was demonstrated actually by a guy, I can't think of his name, but he said, he used to think that it was possible until he got a copper chisel and a hammer and tried to chisel with it, and it just bent.
Sure.
You can't do it. You just can't be done with those instruments. So how did they get there? And why can't we even do that same architecture today? Moreover, when you get into the mud flood stuff, you find out that there were people with faces the size of a mountain face at one point on this planet.
Oh, giants, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the Titans were probably, I mean, when they talk about the Titans being big, they were as big as mountain ranges.
Oh,
And
okay.
our mountain ranges, I mean, there's actually, Roger from Mud Fossil University has taken and found DNA in the rock.
Wow.
He said some of these things that appear to be statues are not statues.
Wow.
They're people.
That's crazy.
Oh. Yeah, very crazy, because once you start thinking in that way, he says he even found a dragon, but the dragon is miles long. It's part of a country. And you can even see the outline of the fish that it was this giant fish it was trying to kill and eat, probably.
Oh.
And you can see that it died. And there was all this stuff leaking out around the mouth. Really bizarre, man. But if you think that way, then how, what happened? Well, I started looking into that. It turns out that the reason things grew so big, and I just saw a video about this, reason things grew so big is that it was highly pressurized and also a lot more oxygen. So the atmosphere was much different in the area of huge creatures, okay? And in that era, we had much more oxygen, much higher pressure, and they also find a sort of a static electrical charge always was happening.
Sure.
And when you put all that together, you get larger and more resilient creatures. And this is probably how people were, they talk about in the Bible and other places, they talk about people living hundreds of years.
Right.
That's probably how they were doing it, because it actually gives you a much better immunity. And if you get bit by something poisonous, the electrical charge will turn it into a protein, so that your body actually would absorb the poison instead of killing you.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered why little tiny creatures have such tremendous amounts of poison in them?
Right. That's true.
Oh.
Yep. I that reminds me of when years and years ago, my cousin's dad. I don't know what that makes him to me, because his mom was my second cousin and my cousin was my second cousin once removed, one of those deals where you got to juggle 15 names to describe them. But he was a doctor, and I remember him telling me a story about this guy was out in the mountains, and he had his dog with him, and it was his beloved companion, and he and his dog were out in the mountains, and the dog was struck by a rattlesnake, and it was in so much pain. It was sitting there whining and crying, and he was just beside himself because he loved this dog so much. But he had a stun gun on him, and he thought, well, I'm going to take the dog out of its misery, and then the poison can do its work. There's nothing I can do. Well, he zapped the dog with the stun gun. It was a rattlesnake bite, and he zapped the dog with a stun gun. And before he knew it, the dog was starting to get better and got back on its feet, and it was like nothing was wrong. And that same method, however, will not work with neurotoxins, like such as a cobra and such, but it does work for the venoms, like a rattlesnake venom.
Right.
Yep.
Quite bizarre, isn't it, though, that probably a lot of the things that would be deadly to us wouldn't have been deadly to them.
Wow.
At that time.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, and if you think of people the size of a mountain range and creatures the size of a mountain range and creatures the size of a country.
Yeah.
Wow. Some of these things were like.
Well, how could they live if they're that big, though? That seems to defy possibility, right?
Well, not if this place was actually Tiamat and we're living on half the planet.
Oh, I don't know what Tiamat is, but I know I've heard that name before, but I don't know what that means.
Well, there's another name. There's other names for it. They've called it other names.
Okay.
Right.
But there was supposedly, now this is a story, there was a much bigger planet. It was out just past Mars, and where the asteroid belt is, in fact, the asteroid belt is part of the planet, and Earth is the other part that stays together.
Well, yeah, so
the rest of it is out there in the asteroid belt, yeah.
Well, what I understand is basically it's kind of like a Planet X thing. There was Tiamat outside of, like you said, Mars, and Planet 9 or Nibiru or whatever you want to call it, Planet X, smashed into that, knocked it, created the asteroid belt, knocked half of it into what is now the Goldilocks zone for the Earth, and the Earth cooled around and created a ball, and here we are on this place called Earth.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
That could be, and if so, it was a much bigger planet. But now look at Earth and realize that half of the planet is water.
Yeah.
What would happen if you split a planet in half? Probably water would rush to fill it in, right?
Would bleed.
I mean, that may be why we have so much water on the one side of the planet there, is because it knocked off part of the planet, and of course water would be rushing in there to fill in.
Well,
I don't know, but I mean,
that's very
looking
curious.
at it, and I'm going, go ahead.
That's just really curious. It's funny because Brooks was talking about something similar to that, a little different dynamic and stuff, but he was talking about two worlds coming together, et cetera, and that someday they'll split apart again. And
Yep.
I can't do it justice trying to paraphrase it, but it was really quite interesting. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing that on your show. Well, of course, I watch Brooks.
Yeah.
He's a very interesting guy.
He is. He's an incredible
and you
guy. Yep.
About him all the time.
What's that?
And you guys used to tease me about Brooks because I thought he was such an interesting guy.
That's true.
Well, I think it was a little more than interesting, but yeah, it was a good time. Good laughs, of course. We love you.
Yeah. So, I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh boy, you're talking about, does that mean we can start to talk about this kind of stuff now too?
Oh.
Because that's cool, because mostly you've been doing like UFOs, ghost stories, and
Sure.
and cryptids and stuff, and I wondered if you were going to get around to this kind of thing, and I just love this kind of thing.
Well, I love it too, but the difference being, of course, is that the information about ghosts are everywhere. You can go anywhere and you can throw a stick on the internet and hit 15 sites that have to do with ghosts and all of that. I mean, it's kind of the new trendy thing, right? Ghosts, but the same thing. There's so many.
So cool.
Yeah, but there's the subjects like this. The information is so much less and far between, and so it's hard to keep doing the same show over, and that's why I steer away from it. If I found some repository of more information on it, or a guest that was incredibly knowledgeable about it, like maybe even yourself, you can certainly come on and we can discuss it. But it's just hard for me to go out there and dig up the same information over and over and try to present it like it's a new show. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I investigate all kinds of things. Yeah, I could talk about that. I could probably do a show on that.
Well, we can.
I hadn't thought of it, but yeah, I probably could.
Okay.
Because I have been studying that, and I can maybe get some links and stuff too for you to check things out a little more. And yeah, I know some sites and stuff that talk about this very thing, and they ask questions like, how is it that they can build these things that have to be millions of years old?
Right.
In some cases.
That's the part that's hard for me.
If we were Stone Age people not that long ago, how in the heck? No, it's not possible. I'm
Right.
sorry. there's something we are not being told. Here's another thing I found out. There is a whole, I don't know if you've heard about Tartaria yet.
Probably
but
not.
But as far as history, Tartaria was, I guess, a thriving culture at one time. It's been pretty much wiped out of history. Except when you really dig, you find out that there was this big continent, almost like it took up a lot of this continent, and it's been pretty much wiped out of history. You almost can't find information on it now. It's starting to come up.
Well,
the fact that they could do that with a whole culture means that they could have wiped out so much of our history. And you know what the Smithsonian is accused of doing.
Yeah.
You know what they do.
Yeah, I've heard all those allegations.
They fix everything.
Yeah, and I have to wonder, what is their end game on that deal? Is it just to preserve the scientific frame of mind that they've been protecting for so long? Is that why? Is new science or new discovery threatening to their status quo? Is that what it is? I wonder.
Is it, or is there something even more important? And I really am starting to suspect that there is a purpose even beyond that.
Probably.
Although I don't know what it is yet.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you want to come on and do a show about this kind of stuff, I'd love to have you do it. I'd be thrilled to hear more myself. It's just, like I said, it's just hard to dig up the same information and try to present it in a new way. But if you've got more information or more robust information, I think that's a deal. We can definitely schedule you in for a show.
Well, thank you. That'd be really cool, and I would not mind doing that a bit because I love the whole subject.
Okay.
To me, it's like I knew there had to be more than what we were being told, because during the Dark Ages, what I got told was the Dark Ages, or we're called the Dark Ages because we don't have a lot of information about it.
Right. That's what I heard too.
Wait a minute. Is that real? Are they kidding me?
I don't know. Okay. It could be.
It just, think about it, it's like, no, I don't think so. And when you realize that the Sphinx, when they dug it out, they found water damage from not rain.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily just being rained on, not just necessarily from, but they found water damage that would have had to been rain for a long, long time.
Sure.
And that would have been in a period so far back that, it's impossible that it could be even in the same climate or that it could even be just a few thousand years ago.
Right.
It just doesn't fit. And
Sure.
So now we're beginning to see, and what I think is happening and what I'm told is happening, is that the blinders are coming off. We are going to be able to see more. And this illusion that's been pulled over our eyes, that some people call the Matrix, I think it's beginning to fade and lose its power. And we are beginning to see what is really there.
Well,
I think we are finally seeing what reality is. And the problem is that people are just like overwhelmed by how different it is from what we've been told.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I think there's a whole lot that we don't know and that we're not being there. It's either they don't know or they don't want us to know. And again, we get into the idea of why. What's the purpose of that? And I don't know.
Now that leads to way more questions, and I hate to say it, but now that people are asking that question, now they're really in trouble.
Right.
Because the human mind does not like questions like that left hanging out unanswered.
Very true.
So people are going to be going straight after why.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that we're all going to be standing there with our mouths hanging open at some point.
I think so.
Going, what?
And Digger Dog in the chat room says they don't want us to know, and I think you're right. I think that all of this information can't just be conveniently covered up and ignored just because it doesn't fit the common narrative. I mean that shows that it's a very deliberate act to not address it. And to me, that
I
speaks
don't
volumes.
get.
Yeah. So, a lot of strangeness.
Careers have been ruined. People have been killed.
Mm.
There is more to this. There's got to be.
There's got to be, yeah.
Not just somebody's, idea, going down the drain. That's happened before. There's got to be way more.
Right.
So, it's going to come out, though. I'm telling you, it will. And all of us will be standing here going, oh, my gosh, I knew it had to be something but like that, but I just had no, it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
And I tell you, next year is going to be even wilder than this year.
Oh, don't tell me that. No.
I hope in a good way. That's all I'm saying.
I hope so, too.
Poor Don. Poor Don. He's dealing with a lot of coughing.
Yeah, I have been too, and that's another thing. I probably shouldn't even get into the remote viewers that have looked into some of the UFOs to find out that they're not really even alien. They're black ops government UFOs and manufactured life aboard them to look like aliens, and that they spray something that causes us to not be able to connect the dots in order to be able to do some of the stuff that they do.
I think that's called I think that's called fluoride, and it's in your toothpaste.
It's something else. I guess they found that it is something else. But yeah, fluoride would probably be what they're putting in the water to do that.
Well, yeah,
but it's something that keeps us from that they were spraying. I mean, because I guess they were doing paranormal investigations kind of like we do, only they were doing it on a corporate level and sometimes even for the government. And they were coming across things that they didn't even know how to tell their clients. It's like, how do I tell my client, or the police or whoever, that this person went into a UFO or was abducted by some lizard-looking being in a tunnel, or you'll never find the remains because they're not even on this planet anymore. Yeah. How do we tell people that?
I don't think you do, and I think there's some information just probably isn't useful. I mean, it's never going to bring a lot of good things. I don't know. I mean, people need their security. You know what I mean? I mean, people do need a status quo, and I understand protecting that to some degree because otherwise you have pandemonium. So that part of it makes sense to me. But when it has to do with even this dismissal of things like giants, which are mentioned in so many religions around the world, and we have a basis of understanding of them from that context at the very least, but in so many other ways too. I mean, what harm can it be to say, yeah, there were giants? Right. What does that mean? I don't know, but at least it's honest. Yeah. But
how can it be that bad? How can it be worth killing people and ruining careers and all of the stuff that's going on? There's got to be more to it than just that.
Well, I think
go ahead.
People, I think part of it, honestly, I think is the hubris. We are right. We know we are right, and we have everyone agreeing we are right. And once you bring in that other factors of other proofs of a differing history, then they're no longer right. And what is that worth? Well, it might be worth their position. It might be worth their funding. It might be worth, a whole lot of things, because I think it all gets down to money at the end of the day.
Definitely their funding. Definitely you will get defrocked from the religion of science if you say the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, but in some circles it is more like a religion than science.
Oh, it's very much a religion. They even wear the white robes,
Yeah, white robes.
Yeah, so it's definitely a religion.
And I remember arguing we had an argument, me and a friend of mine, and she was accusing me of being a pagan and cutting up small animals in the backyard, and I said I have never done anything like that, unless you mean cutting up a chicken for dinner, maybe once in a while, something stupid like that. But no, I have never cut small animals in the backyard, sacrificed to any god anywhere. But now here's my question. You certainly have cut up quite a few animals in the name of science because you're a biologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a biologist.
Oh. Well, yeah. That's a whole
How
different deal.
hypocritical is that? How many animals have been sacrificed to the science god?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is that, and then of course too, it's whatever master you serve becomes your god in some sense. So you're not very far off of the mark there by saying that. Yeah. So.
Oh boy, did she get mad! Boy, did she get mad!
Oh, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine she didn't like that.
Hypocritical.
Right. Well, good for you for pointing it out, though. I think that's important to put it right out there and to say, hey, here's the situation I see.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy. It's like, look, we don't need to do it 5,000 times,
right,
to know that detergent is gonna hurt an animal's eye.
Hey, guess what? If you pour bleach in their eyes, they still go blind. I don't know why. It's like, what the hell?
And it keeps happening. Gee, maybe we should test it a few thousand more times just to be sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding me?
So,
and this is the kind of crazy stuff I hear. And if you are a conscientious objector and say, no, I do not want to cut up this frog in science class, used to be you'd flunk.
Right.
But, I mean, it's crazy stuff like that. It's like, I don't think any child should have to be required to do that, really.
No, I hated it. I mean, I hated
now
it.
See pictures. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I tell you what, though, we got to save this for when you're on the show doing this show that we're discussing. So don't give it all up now.
Oh, okay.
So, but thank you so much for calling in. Yeah, I really appreciate your insights on this, and I will be in touch with you. Oh, of course. I'll be in touch with you, and we'll figure out when you're going to come on, okay?
Okay, thank you, dear.
All right, my lady.
Love you all.
We love you,
too. I
too.
love you guys.
Okay, good night.
Night.
Night, D.
Welcome to the 9th inning, Don. How you doing?
Doing all right. Just, I think my cough medicine's wearing off. I need to drink more of it. But she touched on a couple things there. One of the things I want to mention is that she talked about why would they do this? Well, because they don't want us to be empowered by knowing possibly. These are just interjections, ideas, opinions. But they don't want us knowing where we came from and what we used to be able to do, because then we might rise up and just do exactly what we used to do. And then that information would be out of their hands. Now, whoever they are, we'll leave that as a nebulous term.
No, that's an interesting point you brought up, though, because the old saying, knowledge is power, right? So if you suppress the knowledge, are you suppressing the power? That's a very good correlation. Well done.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, because I tell people all the time, especially on the internet, don't tell people anything, because the more you tell people, the more they know, the more they have power over you.
Right.
And that's even just in regular life, I mean, one thing I was taught when I was going through school for corrections and psychology and all that kind of stuff, when I was doing that, they used to, if you ever have to sit on, if you ever have to sit on the bench and talk about a case that you were on, you only answer the questions you were asked.
Right.
Like, do you know what time it is? Yes. Can you see what time it is? Yes. Wow. You only give them the information they ask for, because the more information, the more extrapolation they can do. They'll tear it apart. So, but anyhow, yes, knowledge is power, definitely. But she also mentioned and it was mentioned a couple times already, about how when they dug out the Sphinx and the water damage from the rain and the deluge.
Yeah.
Okay, this was but way back when I read a book by a guy named Graham Hancock, and he's an alternate geology history kind of guy. Really interesting stuff. But he talked about the water damage on the Sphinx and how it would have had to have happened over a long period of time. So, that goes to a couple theories I have about pole shifting, crust slips, things like that. But imagine, the Nile used to be green and fertile. You used to be able to grow anything on the banks of the Nile. And now you can't grow anything there. Nothing.
Yeah, well, it's a desert. It went
Yeah,
all desert up in there.
Yeah, but why? Why is the question. That's where the question is.
I don't know either, but and the curiosity and I don't know. This may be obvious to somebody that studies such things, but I think the Sahara is growing as well, right? It's still expanding.
Well, yeah, it is, but we've talked about the pole shift. There's what, a 2.3%, a 2.3 degree shift in the North Pole, which means the South Pole is moving too, or at least the genetic pole or the magnetic pole. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens if we hit that tipping point where the magnetic north is so far, east or west or south for that matter? What's going to happen? Well, one theory is that it's shifted before, and the crust of the earth shifted around the core of the earth. Mm-hmm. And so with that in mind, what if the Sphinx was built before that happened, and that's what created the Great Deluge and turned, say, the landmass of the Antarctic and flipped it around, and it used to be, say, where, Australia is supposedly supposed to be at.
the legend of Australia, is that what you're getting at?
Australia, yes. So it's things like that. Think about those things. About, well, there's so much water damage on these things, but there shouldn't be water damage on them, because if it's been the way it's been, if that's only been there for 2,500 years, there's not that kind of water damage going to be to it. Right. So. Like I said, they're separating the knowledge from the masses.
Now, I have a question for you regarding that, though. Is there similar water damage on any of the pyramids?
There's no way to tell, because it's believed that there were limestone sheets on the pyramids, so they are gone. Okay. What we see is basically the skeleton of the pyramids. Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, I saw something from the early 1800s. It was an old engraving that showed like giant statues on top of the pyramids as well.
Oh, wow.
So, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? But you know what I do know?
What's that?
I know that Mr. Wes Germer said that the Sasquatch Chronicles is now available on iTunes and Stitcher. So if you want to hear my visit to the Sasquatch Chronicles, you can check it out. It's Sasquatch Chronicles episode 527. And you can check it out and see it. I don't know. I'm excited to listen to it myself.
Well, I just dropped his link. I've dropped his link to his blog spot for the show in the chat several times now. Okay. And I just did it again. So excellent. It's there.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to check out my discussion with Wes on the Sasquatch Chronicles, please do. I couldn't have been happier with the opportunity, and it was just a great conversation, a great time. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. But it's just it's so surreal to have. I mean, I used to sit at my job with earbuds in, just going from one episode of Sasquatch Chronicles to the next, to the next, to the next, as I was doing computer work. And I got a lot done, and I learned a lot at the same time. So it was a great period. But then, now, just a few years later, to be a guest on there was just phenomenal. It was so epic.
Wait, when you told me about that last night, I was like, oh, yay. He's getting to meet one of his heroes.
Yeah, exactly. It was really cool to talk to him, and in that format, and both on the show and off afterwards. It was really fun. So great times, but definitely check it out. And if you're not already subscribed to the Sasquatch Chronicles, look into doing it. It's a great site. He has a members option as well, and if you become a member, you become able to get so many more episodes than just just Joe Public like myself. But you can get double the number or better. I don't know all of his perks he has, but all I can tell you is that it is it's the largest Sasquatch show on the planet right now, for sure. And it was a great honor. So definitely check it out. Let me know what you thought of the episode too. If you do, I'd love to hear your feedback on it. I was a bit nervous, but Wes made it real easy to just relax and have a good time. So we did. It was a good conversation. But it's also, you know what else I know, Don?
What's that?
There's 8 minutes left of the show tonight.
Oh, way. Have we gone by that fast already? Wow.
We have.
Well,
time flies when you're hitting the cough syrup.
Yeah, well, got to do something.
No, it's
so. There we go. So I just dropped that link for the Sasquatch Chronicles again.
Thank you.
For death.
Oh, good. Okay. And is it posted
What's
on
that?
the site? Is it posted on the site already?
I'm already on the site looking at it.
There you go.
March 27th, Sasquatch Chronicles, episode 527,
Ooh.
The Paranormal Portal. Woohoo!
That is really cool. I want to get a screenshot of that and frame it.
Well, you have the link in your. I sent it to you in your IM.
No, I got it. I pulled it up already from the chat. Thank you for doing that. But great times, everybody. As always, it's a great pleasure to do the show. It's so awesome. So many of you guys are part of the Paranormal Portal family, as it were. I really love, every night doing these shows and being a part of your world. I'm so honored that so many of you continue to come back. It's you really love me. You really do.
You really like us.
Yeah. Well, it depends on which version you want to go with, but yeah. Yep. But
if which Mandela effect you're talking about.
Yeah, which version of reality you come from. But as a side note, a special thank you to Lady Death, who sent us the clown that is now hanging behind Don's chair in the studio. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually right next to the on-air sign, but you'll be able to see it better when Don's here. It's on the Don side of the on-air sign is where the clown is.
Whoopee.
Because Don loves him some clowns. Yes, he do. Honestly, it's really cool. It's older and it's got a little music box in it. So if you twist the nose, it plays little music. It's really adorable.
If you twist the nose,
yeah,
really,
yeah, it's really cool. Do you want me to get it for you so you check it out?
No, that's okay.
No, I'll get it.
Hold on. If you want to, I mean, go
hold
ahead.
on a sec. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going full beard right now. Beard vision.
Hey, I got this tourmaline. This is the quartz tourmaline, and this is wrapped with zebra wire. It's awesome. Let's see if I can get a decent picture of it real quick. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
This was made by a friend of mine, and as a matter of fact, she gave me a whole bunch of things, and she gave me a quartz, or not a quartz, but an agate that I think Brent might be a little jealous of. I might have to wear that on Friday night. I don't think he can hear me either, though.
No, I can't. I got the headphones on, but I got a whole bucket of agates in the other room, like fist sized, a couple fist sized, and every size in between, because that was what I did back in Minnesota. Walk to the beach and collect agates. So let me get myself back on the screen so we can share the experience. Don, say hello.
Yes.
Say hello to your co-host, your co-host, and look at this. Watch this. Watch this. This is really cool.
Oh,
you turn the nose. For those of you that love clowns, that's the prettiest song, though.
Okay. And it's gonna sit behind me.
Yeah, I might wind it up before the show too for you.
Oh, no.
Isn't that pretty though? I love that song. What do you think, Don?
Yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Lady Death, for that. She sent it out for us to put in the studio. It's awesome. I love it, and it fits in the decor because some people are absolutely just terrified of clowns that have long beards and stuff. And so this is definitely a great addition to our studio decor. Thank you, Lady Death. It has a place of honor, and it's right where you wanted it.
Yeah.
So I'll hang them up back again after the show, but I guess that about wraps it up for tonight. Don, anything in closing?
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to Mr. Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles. Check that out. And just, support Brent in his, interview there, show the love. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share us out, hit the bell. You know how to do it.
You know what time it is. It's portal closing time. All right, guys, we love you bunches. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of all that we're doing. We owe all of this to you guys. So thank you for helping to let people know about the portal. And I guess that's all for me too. So be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and smile and laugh as much as you can. So yeah, I posted another Minion and I video on Facebook if you want to see it. We had just received the clown. even Elijah said it's his favorite. It was awesome. So, all right, guys, sweet dreams, and I'll be back tomorrow with the bedtime stories. So tomorrow night, 7 days a week, 7 p.m. Pacific time, there's a portal, and I hope you're here to share it with me. So everybody, good night, and have a wonderful Thursday.
See ya.